Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's got to do the pledge all by himself.
Jerry, can you please do roll call?
Tim Ogadibus,
Present.
Todd Clemens,
Yep.
Erica Connor, Don Cox,
Here.
Mary D. Moore,
Here.
Art Schneider, here, Greg Verts,
Excused.
Jeff Volkel,
Here.
Terry Winchowski, here.
All right, this is an open meeting and has been noticed as such. Under presentations, we have the student rep report.
Beginning with Eagleville Elementary, they have been very busy this summer. They've been working to implement new STEM programs, and they selected 3, and they're called Thinking Outside the Box, The Sky's the Limit, and Music to My Ears. They've also removed desks from 2 younger grade levels and replaced them with common workspace for collaborative learning, as well as implementing iPad technology and the added services of a reading specialist, and that is to help struggling learners. So they've been doing really good things there at Eagleville.
All right, and then on the PBMS and MHS side of things, a couple months ago we discussed about how McWanago High School and Parkview were taking a world language test, and that was all across the United States in both Spanish and German. And one of the students at the high school, Tresario Del Fiaco, he went ahead and won a $1,000 scholarship due to that by going ahead and making a video and a persuasive essay that he went ahead and submitted, so that's pretty cool. And then on the section side of things, Section School held a Math Mania Carnival on the 15th, and that was to celebrate 143 students who completed weekly math goals during the summer. And the school, along with the students, clocked about 55,000 minutes of math work, which is very impressive. And then that is all.
Great.
All right, and on to MASD, Communication Plan.
Sure. Sean, do you have the projector that we could toss the projector on? If not, because there's a couple things just in case you guys have some questions, I might be able to more easily direct them to the website. While we're getting that projector up, I can go ahead and get started. I believe I've met most of you. If not, I'll just formally introduce myself. My name is Julie Hanisch, and I am the Coordinator of Technology and Communications for the school district. As you may well remember, the position that I have, that is the communications side, is relatively new. We just kind of formalized it in the last year, and this past year, we've done a lot. So I'm actually really excited to talk to you guys today because I think we have a lot of neat things to communicate with to you. So I know that in your packets, we have included a number of samples of things that we've done. We've also included a draft of what we've been working on over the past year of our communications plan. So if I take a look at my overview, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that we actually do have a communications plan draft in place. If you go to a number of other school district websites, you'll find that those districts have had communications plans for a couple of years, so I'm very happy that we are finally getting that task done. It was something that was sorely needed. And the actual communications plan, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But really, when you think about the communications that we've been doing with our stakeholders, it really boils down to 3 areas. What are we doing with our digital communications? What are we doing with our print communications? And what are we doing with interpersonal? And pretty much any message that you ever send out is going to fall within one of those 3 categories or more than one. But then we also, in addition to the regular communications that we've been trying to build up, we also have been working on some special projects that I think are worthy of note and I'm excited to talk about. And then I, of course, want to finish with where do we go from here. So the communication plan, the actual draft itself, I'll just bring that up for a second here. So without going into a ton of detail, what you see on our table of contents is something that is messages channeled in that order. Who do you want to talk to? What are the messages those people need to hear? And how is the best way to reach them? And really, if you stick with those simple ideas, most communications can be measured along that very solid yardstick, okay? So, and it goes into a lot of other things like branding, I think a lot of people laugh at me when I tell them, hey, if you see a UPS man, what do you instantly think of? And most people say brown. Or if I said, what's the color of a Schneider truck? Orange, right? Branding is not something unique to corporations. It can play a part in our school districts as well. So that when people out there start to see our school logos, they start to see our school colors instantly, Mugwanago, Mugwanago. It just jumps to them right away. So we've been working on a branding page. And that's something that takes some time because not everybody can agree or not everybody can feel that it's important, but it's something that I'm continuing to press. So, I won't bore you with all of the details of the plan. That's something that you have in your packet that you can take a look at. But I think we've got a very good start on it. One of the key next steps in the communications plan is actually going to be adjusting or identifying what goals we have. And that you can see right here is still in draft form. So, for example, if we say that one of our district goals is to boost enrollment by X% in the next X number of years, that's a measurable goal, then how do we put that in the plan? How do we make that measurable? Okay? So that's something that I wanted to make sure that I showed you that we were working on. All right. And then, of course, that plan will include clear identification of who are our target audiences. And those target audiences, a lot of times when people think about how do we communicate, well, sure, it's easy to think about teachers. It's easy to think about business owners. It's easy to think about students and their parents. But what about our elderly in the community? That's an audience. How are we reaching them? So I really encourage you, when you get a chance to take a look at that list of audiences in that communication plan, and just know that that's something that we are very mindful of. All right, so let's talk about our digital communication efforts. This is something I'm really quite proud of. When we started last year, not every school had a Facebook page. Some schools had Twitter, but the postings were random. A school might go a month without posting, or the Facebook feed might be, outdated. And in the last year, not only do we have every school with a Twitter feed and every school with a Facebook feed, but it's also controlled at the district level where I can send out items in one click to all of those pages, all of those feeds at once. And so I think you'll start to see, as people engage with those social media tools a lot more, that the content will be more frequent. If it's not frequent, people, they unfollow, they disconnect, it's not engaging. So one of the goals we have is to make sure that we have constant, regular updates with the social media tools, because people talk about that and they share and like and retweet, and that's what we want. And I'm proud to say that we just crossed our 1,000th Twitter follower on the district Twitter feed. Last year, about at the same time, I think we were around the high 200s, low 300s. So we've more than tripled our Twitter following in 1 year. So that's pretty good. Our school website management continues to be done at the school level by our library technology specialists. I oversee the district website, but again, because of the tools that we've put in place, I can very easily now blast out an announcement to all of our pages in a very efficient amount of time. And efficiency was something I was really going for, because it takes the load off of our principals, off of their secretaries, when I can, instead of calling up or emailing 8 schools, hey, can you post this? Hey, can you post this? Hey, can you post this? I can take care of it right away. When it comes to our Shout Points, new initiative that some of you, especially if you have kids in the district, you know that we've been sending out every 2 weeks our key news for families. And that's something that the district administration and I, every 2 weeks, we take a quick look and say, what do we need to get out there? And our parents, we've actually gotten some pretty good feedback because the parents like that there's a quick little bullet list at the top. They can quick scan to see if there's something that pertains to them or their children. If not, they can delete it and move on. If so, it's right there. And one thing that I know I've been really striving for is those messages because most parents read things on their phones. And we really want it to be to the point where if you just click, the content is there, rather than having to stop, move to a desktop computer, because by that time you've kind of lost half of them. So that's a goal. We're not there yet in everything, but it's always a goal. Our mobile apps, we continue to work on honing our Mukwonago District mobile app. I would say, as school board members, if you have smartphones, I encourage you to download the Mukwonago School District mobile app. And if you have any feedback about it, definitely let me know. And our parents continue to make use of our Infinite Campus mobile app, which is getting, Infinite Campus adds a lot of features to that every year. So we really encourage our parents to download that app. School science continues to be a work in progress. A goal we have this year is to keep ramping up the type of content that we've got on there, to mix the messages up more frequently, work on readability. All that is very typical school sign goals. School newsletters, internal communications release forms, something that was new that we started last year that the principals really, really liked is it used to be if we had a message that had to get out to all the schools. Either I would call up each school, ask them, when's your next newsletter gonna go out? Okay, can you add this? Or I'd have to send out an email. And everybody received the information in a slightly different way. Well, now we have this internal communications form where I can just check off very quickly, who's the intended audience? How do we need you to send this out? By when? Here's the wording that you can use, go. And so it's been very easy on the schools because they just have to grab the wording and go. So that has streamlined a lot of the internal communications as well. Live streaming continues to be a work in progress. I will confess that is an area that is very finicky, depending upon the way the network's behaving that day, depending upon the skill level of the operator, because sometimes it's a student operating it. Sometimes one of our technicians set it up a couple hours earlier, but then something happened to it between the time they left and the start of the concert. So, we do understand that the public enjoys live stream. It is something that we continue to work on. And then our community flyers page was that. I hope you guys have seen that. That has been a major improvement from last year. So we used to have, as you may know, community groups would send Sean a number of flyers. And the old page was hard to read. And so now this was our new page where people can, now we don't have a lot on here now because it's been the summertime, but during the course of the school year, we get inundated with a lot of community groups who are wanting to have us help them out, and we're happy to do it. If it's something that is approved that for us to share, we want it to be easily accessible. And what I think I have been noticing is that as more people are clicking on this page, they talk to more and more community groups to say, hey, check with Mukwonago, and it starts to build good connections between us and the community. The fact that we're trying to help them present their ideas in a professional fashion, and that we're not just giving it a quick little attention here. So those are a lot of the advances, a lot of the stuff we didn't have last year. So I'm very proud of the efforts that we've made on digital communication. In print, a number of you guys have, if you've ever looked at the chamber guides, the business directories, we always put an ad in this year, or every year, so we've got that in there. We continue to ramp up press releases to our local newspapers, Chief, Freeman, Mukwonago Times. Something new that we're doing is April at the chamber, we'll be getting bookmarks that look like this to stick in the bags of the welcome new families to Mukwonago bags, the little swag bags that they give them. And this is a 10 reasons to enroll in Mukwonago schools. And it's basically just another way of hitting them the minute that they reach our community. The triad comes out 3 times a year. And, there's one issue in particular that I really want to focus on, and that was this issue right here, where our centerfold contained not only an Eagleville pamphlet, but also the entire centerfold was devoted to celebrating the connections that our schools have with our community. Basketball, doing Make-A-Wish, varsity dance, supporting children who are ill. It's a number of connections, and I heard from a number of people that they did not know how many times our students and staff connected with the community. And so I think this was a nice celebration. This is something that I want to do more of, because we have fantastic connections with our community, and I think it's important that everybody know how we work well together. The district calendar, I think Sean gave you guys a copy last meeting, so you saw that. That one, I was very proud. It came in, we made more money on ads this year than we have in any of the last calendars in the last 10 years, selling ads. So that worked out very, very well.
Who sold the ads?
So that was a little,
You're not planning on raising the price anytime soon?
no, but, I was really happy because we got a number of new groups in there to support that project, and everybody was.
So are we adding months or just?
No, we just, because in the past what we would have to do is, if an ad space didn't sell, we would put in a fun little fact, like,
Oh, yeah.
did you know walruses live
Right.
for so many years? But this year, we took that,
Wait,
yeah, right. This year, we took that empty ad space, and instead of just putting a silly fun fact, I asked them to put in a key McGuanago fact, like, did you know that McGuanago has 68% of staff that have a master's degree or more, using that space to sell the district more. So I think you'll notice when you look at that product that there's a bit more district promotion to it, in addition to the fun facts. The referendum continues to be an ongoing project. I hope that in the last year that all of you had a chance to see a lot of the work that we did with our architect group and our builder group to get the word out. Obviously, we've been in a bit of a lull right now as Sean and Jim Darren continue to work with the planners, but we just met actually last week to talk about what is now the next thing that we need to do to update our website, and when does the next phase of communication kick in. So I think you'll look to see some of that information start to come out very soon. And then finally in print, even the little things matter. This was not in your packet, but we even did things like redesigning our school letterhead to update it, to bring it into something that's a little bit more modern looking, and that includes our social media feeds down below. So whenever this goes out for any reason at all, we're putting forth our best look. So those are some advances in print. Interpersonal, that continues to be an effort with our PTO, PTAG, PTG meetings. That's something that I want to get out to each of those groups at least once this year to shake those people's hands, tell them we appreciate all the good work that they're doing, see if there's anything that we can do to help them out. Education Foundation, that I'm working with Carl Roby and Jamie Pratt. They are doing a lot of new work to rebrand the Education Foundation, and we'll be running a district logo contest, a lot of great work for the kids, and we really work hard to build up our ability to promote their message. The community school projects, I talked about that already in the triad. Open houses, of course. We did hold meet and greets for all of the new principals so that parents of our schools who got new principals this year didn't just walk in and not have a chance to say hello to the new leader in the building. And then, of course, something new that we're doing with the athletic groups is what we call our 10-second spots. And I had it here, but the 10-second spots are something that you should start to hear at athletic events during halftime, breaks in the action. And you guys have all seen this if you've been to a Brewer game or a Packer game. Whenever there's a lull in the action, the announcer will take that opportunity to say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you know, during the break in the action, I'd like to point your attention to blah, 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 blah. Well, our blah, 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 blah will be positive messages about the district, opportunities to hop on our social media feeds, just continually keeping the branding of the positive messages going all the time. You've got a captive audience at those athletic events, and we love to communicate with them. So, special communications, in your packet, you see that there is a flyer that looks like this. This is something that we had to a degree in the past, but we tried to ramp up its professional look so that when any of our staff goes out to job fairs to recruit new staff, we're putting forth a professional look right from the get-go. The referendum renovation materials, I spoke to that already. The IT Academy, last year, Nick Reichoff and I met with the staff running the IT Academy and talked about creating what we call a promotion kit, so that anyone in the IT Academy, if they need a logo, they know where to find the logo. If they need a key motto, they know where to find a key motto. So that anytime you want to put forth your best face with your program, you've got something that you can quickly hand out to people or talk to people about. MFAB, that's a group that we want to continue to promote. I'm looking for good things. I'm a fine arts lover myself, so I can't wait to see what MFAB has to do as far as their goals and how we can help support the fine arts programs in our district. Our individual schools continue their communications effort. I want to make a particular shout out to Parkview Middle School. If you see Mark Dumais and his staff, I think they deserve, even extra applause. They've really tried to hone a communications page on their website where their parents know exactly how they're going to communicate, what are the various tools. There's video, pictures, and he just is exploring more avenues with social media. So they're really, really trying to make those connections strong. We also have a district photographer. I don't know if any of you know Lisa Borgman, but last year she went around to our schools a couple times a year to take stock footage, because when you put these kinds of flyers together, we really want to try to have McGuanago kids featured in the flyers. It actually takes a longer amount of time to go out and try to find a stock photo, and half the time there isn't one. So she's done a great job, and continue to see our own images in our promotional efforts. And then we've also, this is something that we haven't spent a ton of time on in the past, but I look to do more this year, is expanding our LinkedIn presence. Our LinkedIn presence is something that I think is a key connection to our business personnel, and that's something that we need to leverage further. So as far as where do we go from here? Things like Google Analytics, now this is a snapshot. If you look at the slide, what's interesting about this, that peak represents the day after the triad was mailed home, just before the referendum vote. And what that line is measuring is traffic to our referendum website. Because we wanted to know, is the work that we're doing to communicate the referendum, are people looking at it? And so I just took that snapshot briefly, in that it's interesting that traffic spiked the day after the triad got sent home. So, we're always interested in, is what we're doing, is it working? Is it having an effect? And so this is just one way that we're trying to start to use more analytical tools. Another one is a tool called Hootsuite. That is the same measure of traffic on some of our popular tweets. So we can start to analyze, what tweets, what kinds of posts are really getting the parents interested in, and can we leverage that and use that more to our capability. Now, analytics, as any mathematician will tell you, you could have a degree in analytics and you still wouldn't know it all. So we're just beginning with it, but it is something that I am interested in doing more of, so that when I come and talk to you guys next year, I can say, look, here's where we spiked, here's where we fell, and there's actual data behind what it is that we're doing. So in conclusion, where do we go from here finally? Obviously, we have to continue to build our capacity. We've done a really good job getting our digital social media capacity built up. That can continue to go farther, but there's always more that you can do. Continuing the renovations communications, like I said, that I think you'll start to see ramp up again in the next month. Reviewing our internal communications, because last year was spent a lot with our external communications, reaching the stakeholders. Well, you know, part of a good communications plan is making sure that your internal communications are helping to feed that as well. Further work on the branding, and then above all else, how do we know what's working? Because there's no point in expending a ton of time if something isn't working. We want to drive our dollars, our energies, and our efforts into what is going to be effective and get kids coming to McGuanago schools. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. One comment, on the mobile app, we could have an icon with links added to that. You know, like the Lake Country Reporter, the Waukesha Freeman, the library, the Y, whatever, you know. It's just a good opportunity to, you know,
Okay.
make it a more usable website.
All right. Thanks, sir. I will get that looked at.
And then, this is just a brief point too, but if you, in terms of communication,
Mhm.
because we're two good tools that you can go ahead and use as well, because we have direct access to the, not only the students at McWanago, but all the other ones, we can go ahead and probably help you with that, and that goes with all the other board members as well. If you have something that you want us to convey to the kids at the high school or other, schools in the district, please let us know, because we're more than willing to go ahead and help you do that.
Fantastic, Max. All right, thank you.
Just a comment, I think this is wonderful. We haven't had anything like this that I've seen ever, and I think it's, in this day and age, it's vital. And so, thanks for all the work you've been doing with this.
My pleasure.
Other comments or questions for Julie?
No, I had it, honestly.
And any questions about the boardroom sound system?
Ring.
Yeah, it's ringing, the thing.
That's probably something we can just turn the volume down a little bit there. So,
Did you find out the legalities of just tape recording it as opposed to live streaming it? Or?
I have not yet,
Okay.
but Julie does have more information on the costs of the systems if we want to upgrade. You want to just give a ballpark estimate?
sure.
Start with-
As far as the idea of the microphone types, one of the biggest goals driving this was to see if you could go wireless to avoid this spaghetti mess, because this room is used a lot during the week, and the microphones do get tossed off to the side. And I know Sean and I have joked a number of times about, geez, you almost caught me cursing as I was unraveling the cables the other day, because you never know who comes into the room, and sometimes it can eat up a half an hour of your time unraveling cables. But wireless costs a lot of money. A minimum system to get each of you a wireless microphone would be minimum 25,000, probably more like 35 to 40. By the time you tap into the receivers needed, the DSP mixer, which needs to control all of the signals and relegate them so that nobody, pops the speakers out. And that's the cost of wireless. So,
I don't think I've ever said anything worth $25,000. So it's not.
it's a brand new car. So, and then a lot of people will say, well, can't you do something like just stick a microphone out in the middle? I actually ran a test the other day, sticking one microphone that had a particular fan-style pickup pattern. The test was a failure, miserable failure, because there's a reason why all of you as board members have a microphone in front of you, so that it's not as if Tom's talking, now it picks up this really loud voice because he's closest to the microphone, and then if Mary's talking, it comes really soft. That's what you'd get. And then, well, what about ceiling mics? ceiling mics you could look at, but if you change the configuration, now you have to move those. And ceiling mics don't distinguish, you know, this type of noise versus this type of noise. So it's a tricky thing. If you wanted to take a look at upgrading what you have, staying with wired mics, but just looking to improve the system, I can move forward with looking at that if you'd like.
If we go to just the audio, would we still need improved mic?
We'd have to run a test on that because I think it would all depend on where that recorder is getting its source signal from. Because again, the same problem applies. If you plunk the recorder right in the middle of the group, in the middle of the horseshoe, depending on what level of volume voice you have and how close you are to it, you'll get mixed results.
Can we just get a conch and pass that around?
Yeah. Paint it blue and gold.
Yeah, there you go.
I think just camera and captions would work too, if you guys. Tim said.
So,
I think this works.
Is that equipment?
But yeah, we're not
No,
effort
So
or
and
money.
again-
financing to.
Not at.
Last week, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the number of viewers that we've been getting on the live stream, so it's not that many.
They've doubled now.
And so, if you guys are good with sticking with this, that's what we'll do.
For now, I think.
For now, we can.
Okay.
stick with it and
okay.
Just try and remember to talk into our mics.
Yeah.
We do have to do that.
Well, and one other factor that probably a lot of people don't know is you guys switch seats every meeting. And so some of our microphones, we have tweaked at the mixer level for those of you who have softer voices. So if all of a sudden someone who has a soft voice or someone who has a louder voice sits in front of a microphone of someone who has a soft voice, then, you know, boom, it gets really, really loud. So maybe there's a way we could
Stop moving chairs.
either stop moving chairs or we put you guys all in a little mic's audio check and get your number and then just set your numbers, but. So,
Alrighty,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks, Julie.
alright.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, do we have any citizens' comments?
No, there are none.
Alright, consent agenda. Approval of the board minutes of July 18th, 2016, and approval of vouchers 108673 to 108962, and funds 10, 21, 23, 27, 41, 45, 49, 50, 72, and 80, totaling 1.2 million and change, and receipts for July 2016 totaling 1.2 million and change. Any questions or concerns? Alright, hearing none, it's approved by consent. On to action items. First up is staff retirement.
We had one
resignation.
staff resignation. That was Susan Cronenberg, our high school and middle school social worker. And that's a resignation. You want me to do the two appointments also at the same time? Daniel Lebowitz, who is going to be a one-year replacement band and general music teacher at Big Bend. And then also Kristen Egan at Clarendon. She's going to be a 47% special education instructor.
Okay. I have a motion to approve. Alright, second?
Second.
Okay, Erica will be the second. Alright, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, on to committee reports, finance and facilities. Jericho Creek property in Eagleville?
What about the,
There's
Did I
just
skip? Oh, I'm
another
sorry.
action item.
Budget, yep, sorry.
do you have a different?
I'm just,
I like those.
here we go.
So we,
Good thought, it didn't get us.
we can move
The
pretty
16,
quickly
17
through the
budget
rest.
approval. Yep, go
So
ahead.
the budget. So Tom's here to get approval on the budget that we shared with you last year. Of course, as you know, final approval doesn't come until later. This is a preliminary budget.
Yep, by state law, we need to publish this in advance of the annual meeting, so this is the budget I'm proposing we take with your consent. So is there any questions I can answer for anybody?
Have there been any changes since the last time?
Yeah, I mean, we're already starting to get final grant amounts from DPI for Title I, Title II grants, so we get estimates from DPI and then we get final from DPI. They changed minimally, but there's changes that are going on continuously. So,
Any changes that make a difference in
No.
what we saw at the last
nothing
meeting?
significant or material, no.
Do we need a motion?
I got a quick question. So I'm catching up a little bit with it, but just off the top of my head, what was your stance or your prediction for health insurance next year?
What is my stance or prediction for it?
Yeah, I guess with the budget. How much have we allocated?
The actual, so health insurance is gonna go across, I don't have that number added up, but we can look at that right here in the budget that I gave out last time. Fund 10, Object 241 is health insurance. Health insurance appears in Fund 10, Fund 27, Fund 50, and Fund 80. So I could go through those and add those up. Just in the big picture, it's $4.6 million. Altogether, I budgeted for a 2% increase.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
You maintained or increased?
We don't, as we will talk about our health insurance, our employees will have 2 tiers to choose from. And if they all choose the more expensive tier, that's gonna change what we think might happen. So we have to kind of wait to see how open enrollment goes October through the 14th when we roll out these 2 networks.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, do we have a motion? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Cherry, can you roll call?
Tim Algedemus,
Aye.
Todd Clemens, Erica Connor. Yes. Don Cox.
Yep.
Mary D. Moore,
Yes.
Art Schneider,
Yes.
Greg Brooks, excused, Jeff Wolfa,
Yes,
Terry Winchowski.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, who had that second on that motion?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now on to committee reports.
Right, real quickly, I'm looking for permission to proceed with discussions with the Gillette family about a possible purchase of a small parcel of land that is located just east of Eagleville. If you can picture Eagleville and where the playground is, and then along the eastern border of Eagleville, we have a tree line. Just east of that, there's about a half-acre parcel that is between our tree line and the river. I know the photocopy that we included in the packet is not real good. I apologize for that. But it is a part of, it's owned by the Gillette family. Todd Gillette, I met with him last week, and we use it a lot. So the Eagleville students and staff and parents utilize that. That's along the Jericho Creek, and we do a lot of activities with the creek, with the water quality, and then also we have our gardens. What do we call those gardens, Art? There's a special name for the gardens that are grown. We have actually created gardens on that parcel of land. And so Mr. Gillette was a little concerned about the liability, insurance liability, and so we're exploring that. And we tentatively talked about maybe we should buy that half-acre parcel from him. Maybe he'll donate it. We'll talk. But I wanted to get your permission first before we proceeded with any more discussions.
Anybody have any objections?
Would it have any ramifications if at some point that property changed uses?
Actually, it would add a lot of value.
So I'm sure it's on a floodplain, and I'll have to find more out about it, but that piece of property, I'm positive, will never be zoned differently than what it's zoned right now. You couldn't build anything on it.
But it would definitely have water access.
The raised gardens.
Raised
Yeah.
arms, thanks.
I
Is
was
it
gonna
clear?
let him struggle personally.
We'll find that out. I can get back to you on that. I'll send everybody an
All the
email.
same, it's
So
good.
you, so you just want permission to talk about it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Obviously, I would never
problem.
agree to anything without your permission, but I thought I'd better get your permission first before we go any deeper into those discussions.
I don't hear any objections.
All right, great, thanks.
All right, MHS project update.
So just wanted to make sure that you were aware that we did receive permission, approval, I should say, from the Planning Commission and then the Village Board to go ahead with our Phase 1 of the high school project. The village, and I think Kurt will concur, that the village and all the departments have been very good to work with. And so we're going to proceed with that work this fall. Kurt, anything to add?
We had a hardware meeting this last week, so we're starting out, now we're starting to get into the finer detail of stuff. I mean, we're still at a higher level, 50% drawing yet, but we're working into those finer details where we're not moving around stuff, we're not moving rooms and walls around so much. There's a little bit of that going on, but we're progressing through it and going on.
And the meetings that we had with the staff and the architect went very well. Got a lot of good feedback, a lot of good input, and so things are proceeding nicely.
So we're okay with the moving of tennis courts and the bus parking lot on the east and southeast,
Yes.
as well as the shed by the track?
Yes, that got approved as well
So
at the plan
those
commission.
three are just moving forward in the fall.
Those are moving forward, yep. So,
Okay.
bid documents actually went out, were supposed to go out today, so I assume that they did from C.G. Schmidt. I looked at the draft copies, Thursday and gave them some comments. So those went out today, and that includes the earthwork. So this is primarily the tennis courts and the and the southwest parking lot where the bus turnaround is. So earthwork guys, paving guys, fencing guys, and some concrete guys that will be bidding on this portion, along with that intersection at if you guys remember a year or so ago when I went to the village to ask
The
for
crosswalk?
that crosswalk, right?
That's what I was wondering.
To do that, and they allocated dollars for it, and then they decided they want to put a path from that crosswalk or that intersection to 83. Well, that's been hanging the whole project up, and we said, okay, well, now where we're at today, why don't we just put that back in our project, as long as you're willing to still cover the over 30,000. I forgot exactly the number, but so they've agreed to that we will take that as our project. They'll reimburse us up to the amount that they approved at their village board meeting last year. So those will be the three main things that we'll be starting. We'll start in the south east corner of the building. September 19th is the utility rework. It's very minor at that point. That's homecoming week. And then really the major stuff we'll start bringing earth moving equipment in that following week after homecoming week. So we're looking good.
I know it's in the preliminary phases right now, but moving forward later in the year and in years to come, how's that gonna affect students during the year with the whole
As far as
renovation?
as far as while we're in construction, how students are going to be impacted, it's definitely be a coordination thing. So, for example, tomorrow we have a meeting with the bus company and the high school staff, Mark Blodgett and Jason Steinbrenner, to work those details out, and that's going to be an ongoing thing, because as the project is moving around, so we're starting on that southeast corner. We're going to talk about how a bus is going to drop off, because some buses drop off right now there. So that's tomorrow's meeting is focusing on that plan, and start talking about, okay, when will we be moving buses over to that area? Do we wait till after Christmas break, or do we get them over there as soon as possible? So there'll be some impact, but it'll require the constant coordination as the project is moving around, and we're working that through the high school staff, and then they can communicate that down through the students.
We're renovating some classrooms on the second floor, and so that would start February or March, and so there will definitely be some impact. So around the start of the third quarter.
And that was one
fourth
of
quarter,
the,
excuse me.
that was one of the reasons, it was C.G. Schmidt, right, that's
Mhm.
there? I mean, they had when they were interviewing, they had such a extensive background in coordinating, building with students, and they just have safety
Yeah.
experts and all. I mean, they were very impressive.
Yeah.
That, of
Yeah.
course, it's gonna be a little inconvenient, but they really sounded like they were way understandable. And
Yes, the team that we selected through C.G.
Or
Schmidt,
Carrie.
they've done a lot of school projects. Think about schools, you have the 10 weeks during the summer when students aren't around, and the rest of the work's happening during the school year. So the team that we have, they are very used to working during a school year, but we have to be realistic too. They're doing a lot of renovations. So, for example, second floor, we'll use our existing corridor walls as our construction walls, so everything will be happening behind there, so it's safe, and some of the work will happen second shifts to minimize disruption. And that all, as, you know, there's a lot of planning and thought that goes into the different phases of the project to determine the best way to proceed with it, so.
Sounds good.
So are we gonna see like the 75% or 90% drawings?
Yeah, we can certainly, right now we're at 50% drawings, and if you wanna have a copy of those, we can put them out on the shared drive, or you wanna wait till it's 75 as it's more formalized, we can do that, yeah.
Yeah, I think not quite yet, but 75, I think
Yeah,
is
sure.
a good point, you know?
Sure, absolutely.
While we have Kurt at the table, if it's okay, we'll just jump to a project that's not going as well.
Uh-oh.
So, Highway NN?
No.
No, so,
Is it
back to good things, back to positive things.
I thought he was staying.
I took a tour of the Clarendon CD wing today. I don't know how many of you have been in that area of Clarendon before, but although it's not completed yet, it's unrecognizable. It looks great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be much better for students and staff than what it was. So, silver lining there. It's exciting, and Andrea Kaplan, our new principal there, is planning an open house down the road for that. It won't be for a while, probably near the end of September, and she said we'll be sure to invite the board members to that. But Kurt has a meeting tomorrow with the county about Highway NN.
Yeah, so the NN project, if you remember before that project started, they were planning completion by September 1st. We're a little ways away from September 1st. So they had some challenges with utility down the way, with some of the utilities getting relocated, so they didn't get started when they were supposed to get started. So they have a standing meeting every Tuesday. They invited me to the meeting, in which with school starting, I will be going to that meeting, letting them know what challenges that they're gonna see from the start of school year with, 100 cars coming into that parking lot. We've talked to the police department already, and they're gonna help us out with getting traffic in and out, because when we're not under road construction, we have cars backed out on the road, especially that first week of school. So it'll be interesting that first week. So again, just trying to communicate to them so they know what to expect, and likewise they communicate to us, so I can get that information out to our principals, and especially Clarendon, so they know what to expect. And just to mention on the Clarendon project, we're right now we are finished painting, or should be finished painting today, and flooring is going in tomorrow, and I have inspections set up for Thursday. I think I'm gonna be able to get an above ceiling, and I'm gonna shoot for a final at the same time, which would mean Friday and Saturday we'd be moving stuff in, which it's to make this work. I originally said figure on the end of September. To make this work, things had to fall in place, and through a lot of time and effort to try coordinating this and making it work, things have fallen in place so far. We're not done yet, so, but it's looking like we'll be able to have it turned over to staff early next week, just in time for them to get their rooms set up and get ready to teach.
Oh, cool.
Great.
Very good.
Good news.
Any
Right.
questions?
Anybody else?
Do they have you have any idea? Are they planning on finishing NN before winter, or?
Yeah, my gut is they're probably that's one of the questions I have for them, is how far behind are you? My gut is they're probably a month behind, so, they said mid-September is when they're looking at changing putting the new entrance and exits in. So if you recall, the new entrance is going to be across the street from the condos, and then the exit will be in the center of the two existing drives. So they were thinking somewhere around September, so obviously the new ones will get put in before the old ones get taken out, but that'll be a coordination and a communication thing that we'll need to do when that happens, since it's gonna be mid-school year, so, mid the first month. So my gut is it's gonna be end of September, beginning of October, when they'll be out of the way, based on their original time frame that they gave us. So I'll find out more tomorrow, though.
Is there any need, or are there possibilities with different traffic routes with the Parkview? I mean, they go in and come out on NN? Are they, I mean, that's how the drop-off is, right? They come in,
Yep.
Yeah,
Disaster.
yeah.
and then they
Disaster
circle
something.
around and they go out.
They
We've
haven't
addressed
explored
this
that at
before.
all.
I mean, is there no possibility to shoot them out of
Oh,
83?
During construction you're talking,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
just during construction?
Right, because then you don't have more backing up.
Yeah, I think, so by nature, I would think they would less likely go to the right to have, because they'll be, if you've been through, they have one-lane traffic basically.
Right.
So you have the stop, and so on the positive side, it'll be easier to take a left-hand turn, because that's always been the challenge, right? It's been a
Yeah.
very challenging to take a left-hand turn out of there, but with the flagmen out there stopping traffic down the way,
Right.
it'll be easy going left, but I would think that people would be less likely to turn right to drive into construction. They'd rather go.
Okay, I
to a
mean, I
left.
just threw it out there if there's
Yeah.
something that we could do. I mean, just
Yeah.
temporary. If there isn't, I don't.
And
Wow.
with,
I can't
like I said,
find
we
a
had, Sean talked to Kevin Schmidt at a meeting, the police chief, and they'll be out there as well. So I think that's gonna be something that if we need to address that, or they help us address that, to help reduce the amount of traffic going this way, I think is what your point is, and that's a good point, so.
We met with all the principals today. We talked about the concerns that we have with the NN project, and said that we would give them an update after Kurt met with the county tomorrow. And they understand that they're gonna have to communicate with their parents. Obviously, some schools more than others. So stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on that.
All right. Anything else? All right, moving on to unfinished business. Superintendent's report.
Yep, real quickly, just a few things. First of all, we have our first teacher in service. All teachers are going to be at McGuanago High School this coming Thursday on the 25th, and board members are invited to attend that. So we'll start coffee conversation in the cafeteria at the high school at 7:45, and we all go into the center, the auditorium, at 8:15. And then I'll give a very brief introduction, and Mary does a presentation, and Tom and Nick will talk, and then we'll go into some staff development meetings with the staff. I do want to make sure that you know that Brook Life Church is providing us lunch this year. So we're going to head over to Brook Life. All the staff will go to Brook Life for lunch. So it's really great. They've been an outstanding community partner and doing a lot of things for our schools, and they contacted us and made that great offer. So looking forward to that.
Is
Then-
that 7:45 in the morning
Yeah, that's 7:45
AM.
a.m. I'm sorry I didn't make that
That's
clearer.
for a realtor?
And as you know, the first day of school is coming up. That's Thursday, September 1. And if you get questions, it's perfectly legal for us to start before Labor Day. For whatever reason, we've had a number of parents that are really concerned about that this year. We've been doing this for a number of years. I don't know why it's been a concern, but we start September 1st.
So if we come, it's just for the meeting in the morning?
Sure. Sure.
Or you can.
Well, if
You
you
can
wanted
stay
to
and
attend.
go to the sessions
Oh,
if
sure,
you
if you
want.
wanted to attend staff development
Just
sessions.
stay long enough, then you get free lunch.
Then a couple of other opportunities. You should have received a flyer and an email from the WASB about a legal seminar that's in Wisconsin Dells on the 13th and 14th of October. It looks like some interesting topics. If school board members are interested in attending, I'm thinking about going. I don't know, Tom might go, some others. So if we want to go together, let's talk. But if you're interested, let me know. Flyer looks like this. Ed Foundation, our Education Foundation annual fundraising dinner is going to be on Saturday, October 8th, and that's at 5:30. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that's a little different than previous years. We've always been on a Sunday. This year, a Saturday evening. It's going to be at Gearbox Express here in town.
And they should be getting, invitations will be going out Friday. And so, you should see us sometime in the next couple days after that.
And then the last thing I have is, don't forget that we'll meet again on September 12th, but our annual meeting is September 26th. Little different schedule that evening. Monday, September 26th, annual meeting. We start with a budget hearing, 7 o'clock. Tom does his presentation. 7:30, we actually do the annual meeting. And then immediately following, we have our regular board meeting. If you have any community groups, community members that you think should be recognized at that meeting, let me know. That's all I have.
All right, correspondence and legislation?
None.
Although I did on that hear today that on Friday, a federal judge in Texas stopped the transgender bathroom rule. So that has been blocked at this point. They're anticipating an appeal, but they don't think it'll go through. So I know we had talked about that in the fall, or when, yeah, spring.
It was
Just
when
saying
the-
it was
Spring?
pretty
Yeah.
quiet, so.
So actually, that's the
should be
second
gone.
ruling. Also, the Supreme Court actually ruled on a case out of Gloucester in Massachusetts and overruled the Department of Education, their colleague letter. So that's a second time. Now, that still doesn't have any impact on us because that's not our district federal court of appeals. So that's not our area. But bottom line is that that is going to be continued to be a legal issue until the Supreme Court rules on one of those cases getting all the way. So I think that I don't know when that could happen, but it has been ruled against twice now.
Okay, all right. Art,
Are we at questions?
all right, okay, board member questions?
Board member
Okay.
questions, yeah.
Where have you gone with Jason Steinbrenner? The,
So I'll send an email on that, but I did meet with Chief Schmidt last week.
Okay,
and that's what you're.
Any other
that's
questions?
Where you're ending it?
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna end
Wow,
it right now.
what a conversation. Okay.
Yeah, but
Glad I asked.
I'll update the board with an email on that.
All right.
I think I have more of a statement than a question. But
Doesn't count.
you weren't here, so I'm gonna fill you in. So last meeting, or two ago, we were talking about school start times and how it wasn't
Yes.
something that we were necessarily going to address right now, that we were gonna wait to see what other districts were doing. And since then, I've been thinking about a lot going, wait, why are we waiting on something to see what somebody else is doing if it's right for us? I'm not saying it is right for us, but I don't think our choices and decisions should really have anything to do with other school districts on a lot of fronts, because we're all different. So it is a topic that I would like to see addressed, and I felt like it got completely poo-pooed, and we're not even gonna talk about it because we're gonna wait and see what other people are doing. So I guess my comment is, and I might be all alone, and if I am, that's fine, I don't think waiting and seeing is really always the most appropriate action. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there, because I'm frustrated that this is the third time I think I've heard this in the last 6 months, like, oh, well, let's wait and see what somebody else does. And I'm like, why? If it's important to us, and it may not be, again, it should have no bearing what everybody else is doing.
Because we wait for the high-achieving school districts. That's a
No, I agree with
going
you.
term.
Definitely. I mean, if it's something, that we all think should be looked into, we should. I mean, we can be leaders. They can be waiting for us to do something.
So I guess maybe my board member question is there anybody else that would like to address this? Or are we all well, not me, but are you wanting to wait and see?
I'm game.
So
Possible changes, possibilities,
I mean, we
the
haven't even talked
options.
about it,
So
just dismissed it.
the topic would be, should we look into having the secondary students start later? So right now, Parkview Middle School starts at 7:25 and the high school starts at 7:30.
If that's the only option out there.
Okay, so I heard 3 people want to look into it. Anyone else?
I don't see any harm in looking into it. I've said it for a couple years already.
I would be very interested.
You'll be in college.
Won't even affect your math.
He cares about the children.
I'm not
There's
interested
8.
in it.
That's half of us.
4, there's 8. Well, then it's declined.
The harm of looking into something is what? Well, and mainly because we have a lot of parent concern. It's not like this is something that we're bringing to the rest of the board. This is parents coming to the school asking.
I haven't heard a single parent.
Well,
ask
but
me
that's
that.
not true, because we got letters in our
Yeah.
packet a couple months ago.
In the packet, well, 2 letters out of 4,000 students.
If you get a letter, it's one of them.
Anyone else?
I'm ambivalent about it, frankly. I have no idea what that would involve. It would seem like it would be, from our end, because of the way we do our double busing, a bit of a complex flip.
Well, I think that's
Probably.
the best reason to look into it if you have no idea. And that's what I have no idea what options there are. And that's why it wouldn't hurt to find out what they are, in my opinion.
Well, we don't even know, because we
Yes.
haven't even
I
talked
mean,
about
there-
it.
you
We
know,
just completely said.
It's
Well,
been
what-
done elsewhere.
What we're talking about though
No.
is the high school would start
Well,
after the grade school.
if
Potentially
So,
that is,
just
It would
at
flip.
a very, obviously, very cursory look, if we wanna keep bus costs the same, that may have to happen, that you would flip-flop the elementary and the secondary routes. Elementary could start at 7:30 and secondary could start at 8:30. Maybe you could look at starting secondary at 8 and elementary at 9.
People do that as well.
Yes, I was
And,
part of the
and the
district where
benefit of
elementary
that
started
is
at
that
9
there's
and 10.
studies, I
Yeah, high school and
understand,
middle
that
school would
seem to
switch,
indicate that
and
there may be some
elementary
benefit
got
to
switched as
the older students starting later than the younger students. Is
Well, no,
that-
just starting later, it does, they
Uh-huh.
don't care about the younger student. I mean, it's just a matter of that their metabolism, not their brain development at that stage functions better a little later in the morning. So it
Right.
doesn't mean that the elementary have to start earlier, it just means that it's beneficial to the older kids to start later. And unless you look at something, you don't know the answers, so maybe we don't even have to, if you talk to a bus company, maybe there's other ways to configure to make it not even be that. What we did this for the kindergarten, it's, it's gonna be all this money, and then when actual research was done, it came out about even. So I think what we're all saying is just, if you don't look, you can't know.
I don't disagree that looking into it is bad, but I also think when we talk about start times, we also need to take into consideration end times. And being a high school student, I know that an hour later, ending school an hour later would drastically impact my life, and it's something that the whole community would need to adjust, not just us, not just the teachers. It would be our bosses and our families and everybody. So I don't think it's something that we should just ignore because it might be hard, but I think we also just need to make sure we take into consideration the affecting of the ending of school.
I guess my question is, how much do you have on your plate right now? Because this is an
Well, I would probably
undertaking.
give it to Nick. Or
Don't worry about my plate.
next.
So what we could start very small and find out, take a survey of area schools and see what their start times are, secondary and elementary. How about that? Is that a good start?
That's fine.
Sound good?
It's a start.
Good.
It's a start.
I'll
Okay,
take a
let's
start.
start with it.
I think
All
I
right.
agree with what you said, that you got your jobs, you got your sports
But-
activities, you got
Okay.
But you can
Hold
also,
up,
I
no.
can argue that completely, because jobs also cater to when students come off, when teachers come off, and so then they would just, the quick trips, the coffee shops, everything, if they had an extra hour or extra time in the morning, they would staff up, ramp up, business up on that, and then they'd cater to the later departure. Businesses adjust to when people are out on the
It's-
streets.
It's not the businesses I'm concerned about, it's the parents who are now gonna have little kids getting out before the big kids. and
Well,
not having
that's
daycare, and
if
now
that's
they're
what
adding
our
daycare and they're adding.
solution would be. We don't
That's
know
what
what
I'm-
the solution is. That's the key. We don't know the solution.
There's two
Nobody's
ends of the
told us
spectrum,
it's
though.
gotta be this or this.
Balance.
Oh, and it's again, if the elementary started later, everybody else.
Then
I guess my question is, why
winter
are we
would be
looking at,
dark.
we got two letters, though, it's a waste of resources, we've got two people complaining for.
Well, we have two formal letters, but there have been a lot of other verbal.
So no matter what, there's gonna be drastic changes at the high school. We're gonna have to look at this in 4 years at the very least, I would think. I think it's a good idea probably to get the reins on it now, kinda get an idea what our options are. I mean, me personally, I doubt we would make changes right away.
even though DPI's kind of allowed us the opportunity with having the requirements of minutes in lieu of days. So I think it's important we at least look at it and open the door there. So kind of consider how this new construction and the new schedules at the high school are gonna affect this also, you know? But I have a question too. We move on.
All right, are we done with that? All right, preliminary look into it. Okay.
Any update on the bus? How are they sitting with coming up with the new year, with the bus company? Are they ready to go, or they got
Oh,
enough
yeah,
drivers?
absolutely, yes.
All right.
Have you heard any more concerns? Tom and the principals have met with Dousman Transportation. They've had a number of planning meetings, talking about bus rules and enforcement of those rules. Anything else that you have to add?
Right on.
All right. We'll move on. Okay, citizens' comments. All right. Motion to move into executive session.
I'll move.
I'll second it.
Okay. Jerry, roll call.
Jamal Gademis?
Aye.
Todd Clemens?
Yep.
Erica Connor?
Yep.
John Cox?
Yep.
Mary